In the second chapter of his beautiful book, Adam Smith tries to explain the origin of the division of labor. It is not the result of human wisdom, he says. Nobody planned it, nobody foresaw its beneficial effects. Smith believes that it naturally grew out of an earlier principle that can only be found in human societies, a principle that he calls the human propensity to truck, barter and exchange one thing for another. This argument is rooted in a more general image of man, a view of human nature that is characteristic of the Scottish moral philosophers such as Adam Ferguson and Adam Smith. Human beings are social through and through. They cannot survive in isolation. They can only live in groups, in hordes, in tribes, in collectivities. Human beings are fundamentally interdependent. When you send one specimen away into the desert, he or she will probably die, because we are essentially social creatures, bound to each other with all kinds of ties. We cannot survive without the assistance of other human beings, but we also cannot count on the benevolence of our fellow humans. So that is a key problem in human societies, and how do we solve that problem? It is at this place in his book that Smith introduces the butcher, the brewer and the baker. As I just explained, those three specialists who take care of what we eat and drink can be very reliable, but only if we appeal to their self-interest. They are willing to bake the bread, to brew the beer, but only if we offer them something that is valuable for them in return. And so human beings are glued together by trade. They exchange one thing for another. They buy and they sell. They bring objects into the marketplace. One guy, Adam Smith says, may have a talent for making bows and arrows. Another one is good at constructing huts and tents. And when they exchange those items that they so diligently produce, they are stimulated to continue the process of specialization. This is how human societies are structured. This is also how they become more and more differentiated. Each member of the group becomes a specialist in producing one type of thing or one type of service. But in the end, everybody receives everything that he or she needs as a result of what Smith calls this human propensity to truck, barter and exchange. The extremely detailed division of labor that we can observe in contemporary manufactures, such as the modern pin factory, is the present-day manifestation of this general principle that has governed the human species since it appeared on the face of the earth. It has often been noticed that this argument bears a certain resemblance to 20th century exchange theories and rational actor theories. And it is true that this stress on exchange and on well-understood self-interest can also be noticed in those more recent theoretical approaches. But I am personally more impressed by the similarity between the view of Adam Smith of human nature and the figurational sociology of Norbert Elias, whose ideas we will discuss at the end of this course. Elias always starts from the premise that human beings are mutually interdependent, that it is a methodological error to conceptualize the human individual as an entity that can exist all on its own without any contact with other humans. In the fall of 1970, I had the privilege to follow at the University of Amsterdam a series of lectures by Norbert Elias, who was then not as famous as he is today. And one of his lectures was devoted to Adam Smith. And then it became very clear that our professor felt a deep intellectual kinship with Adam Smith. He spoke about him as if Adam Smith was a contemporary, a friend, a professor who could just, step into the lecture hall and add some thoughts to what Elias had already said about his ideas. And I must say that was a very important moment for me, because I felt this is the way to present an author that has passed away centuries ago and whose thoughts are still so alive today.